We have one from Japan. Speaking of Japan, Forever Sophist is calling us. Hello, Forever Sophist. How are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing well, and yourself?
Doing well. Please don't quiz me on my Japanese. I've forgotten almost all of it.
And I didn't even bother to learn the language too much. I'm gonna be honest. I figured I would get by when I was there, and you know what? I turned out just okay. So there you go. Forever Sophist, what do you want to talk to us about today?
So I was prompted by your clever channel and marketing techniques to call in regard to AI not having morality, I guess is the stance I hold. Is that a issue you guys are pretty keen on talking about? I'd be happy to go over that.
Absolutely. I mean, I was, first of all, thanks for calling it clever, because it was my idea. Actually, no, it wasn't my idea. It was one of the crew members' ideas. I got the ball rolling on it, though. I'll put it that way. So, boy, this is the episode where I just pretend to be a narcissist, huh? I've made like a couple different jokes about my own ego today. I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, no, it's a good question because I'm definitely interested in it. I know Jamie's interested in it. So what do you want to talk about it?
Well, I'll just say I don't think it's sensical to have any morality drawn from AI as it stands. I think AI is spicy autocorrect. And so if we were going to get morality from AI, I think we're just kind of, I guess, pulling from the soup of all of the things it's gathered from. Because, AI is just, as an LLM, is just gathering from all of the, written data online and that such sort of things. I don't think AI thinks about anything. And so, I don't think it would make sense to gain morality from it either.
Okay. That's a very valid standpoint. And with large language models, I tend to agree with you. Yes, the term spicy autocorrect, like Google soup. But there are certain things where computational logic is going to be used in situations that call for morality. So here's an example, like the programming of avoidance protocols in driverless cars. How does one, or can one, algorithmize, that's not a word, turn into an algorithm things like the trolley problem, like what do you do, who do you hit, where do you crash, what's the priority? And so do you feel that the morals and ethics can have a place in computational situations?
Yes, I do. I think that would be a counterexample, right? Because then you would have to actively be teaching the model to work a certain way. Would you know?
Indeed. Slightly counter to counter, but do we not have to be taught and learn as people what morality is? I mean, do you feel that people have an intrinsic value, like ethical or moral compass within them? I'm not saying like God wrote it on your heart or whatever, but like as creatures, do you believe that a person with no external teaching will still be able to form an acceptable moral compass? And can we not do that to AI?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And so, about how people gather their own ethical frameworks and moralities, I think that's a complex question with, a complex answer. I don't think if you have somebody who's ever been taught anything, right, like you can think of, I can't remember her name now, but there was an example, right, of a girl who had been born and completely like neglected, like by some psychopath parent, right, left in like a basement, and is feral basically, and now is just being taken care of like by scientists and psychologists, right? But she can't communicate with other humans. Obviously, there's not. So obviously, you need some sort of education, right? You need some sort of upbringing in people to have them understand things about society and whatnot. I guess I just don't see where AI fits into that.
Any thoughts, Dan?
I think our technology is a reflection of our morals, right? So like what we think is acceptable are things that we build. And AI, especially large language models as a type of AI, right? Let's be clear, because people say AI and they just kind of mean whatever, like it's not all the same thing. But, we're talking about things that we're going to be able to identify as persons, people, like that seems to be a thing that's going to happen if it doesn't happen already. A lot of people already associate large language models with identities, but like I'm kind of interested in this idea of can we judge actions based on models? And the materialist answer seems to be no, because we know that they just come from whatever we program them to be, right? Whatever the data is, right? But then again, kind of to Jamie's point, it's always coming from people though, right? It's always coming from something, right? So it just kind of make you wonder, okay, is it turtles all the way down then? Because if we can judge the people, can we not judge their creations? Do their creations not factor into that as well? I don't know. I don't have a clear answer or idea, but I do think it's a bit murkier than maybe some might give the issue credit for. If that makes sense. Am I making sense, Jamie? I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to be. I mean, I'm thinking of examples of large language model type AI that's used to sort of emulate people. Again, not to get too weeby, but there's a VTuber called Neurosama who is entirely an interactive large language model. That's what they are. They have an avatar and they interact with the audience and they learn and grow. They have filters put on them by their creator to make sure they don't say anything that's going to get the channel banned from Twitch. And sometimes they can seem very compelling as a person, but they are just an interactive large language model. And so are we ever going to get to a point where those kinds of models are so complex that we're going to find them indistinguishable from real people? Are they going to pass the Turing test and all that kind of thing? And if so, if a language model is large enough and complex enough to intuit through these Bayesian calculations of probability of next word what the best next word is, and it matches what is moral, I mean, a moral lesson that's correct is a moral lesson that's correct, no matter where it comes from.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I say, I don't know.
Again, I don't think of cars as evil, right? But like Agent Orange, I don't have any good things to say about that. You know, you could say that was the creation of an evil desire. So, you know, maybe we have to say the same about AI and those as creations. But I don't know. We've been talking for a minute. Forever, Selvis. What do you think?
Oh, if you think cars can't be evil, you should watch Transformers. There's these guys called the Decepticons.
Damn, that's a good point, though. Holy shit. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I take it back.
That was an attempt at a joke. But yeah, I guess I don't think I can be convinced that we'll ever be able to just like remove our hands from the models. You know what I mean? And you could think of like a pretty prescient example recently, like with pharmaceutical companies declining based off of AI, people's insurance claims, right? And by principle, I'm a rule utilitarian. So like the utilitarian part of me thinks, I want to do whatever causes the least suffering to humanity. And so maybe things like AI models can help towards that. But the rule part of me is saying like, well, hold on, I don't want to murder somebody to give organs to 10 other people to have 10 other people live, because mathematically, right, that makes more sense. And so I think there'll always be some kind of, when it comes to AI, it just seems like something that we'll never be able to use more than as a tool.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that. I mean, the only thing I would say is that if we ever got to a point where these tools and this tech do, if not become sapient, at least approximate sapience in a functional form, we just treat them as children, teach them well, give them boundaries, and hope that we can make sure that the actions they take and the information they generate and the standpoints that they espouse as agents are generally moral. But again, I'm not a moral absolutist. Everything is relative. So what is moral isn't a concrete thing even. And one of the problems with computers is that they tend to want to be absolute in what they do. So yeah, it's a tricky one.
But you can learn about moral absolutism from ChatGPT right now, if you really wanted to, which is something to think about. Not really, actually. It's just there's not really much to think. But I don't know. It sounds like a good point, but it's not. I don't have anything else to add to this conversation. I think I've said my piece. So I don't know. Forever Sofas, was there anything else you wanted to add before we let you go?
In regards to this topic, I think I said my thoughts. You guys said yours, and we had a nice kind of head nod and understanding about that. I do. It sounds like though we're probably in similar understanding. Like, I don't think morality literally exists, right? I think it's useful fiction. Is the term I use to work with the world around us. And so in how far we can use that in terms of things like AI, I think that's an interesting question. But I guess maybe this is like, because I was raised a Christian, right? And I deconverted in my teens, like many people. Maybe there's like a part of me that thinks there's some moral part we'll always have as humans that can't be automated away. But that's just where I'm at today.
That and we are now veering from well into the philosophical, because the idea of what constitutes the human, the self, the soul, or whatever. Oh boy, have we not solved that problem?
Nope, we definitely haven't. And you know what? I don't think the three of us are going to. Maybe Forever Sophist will. I don't know about you and me, Jamie. Well, I don't think we're on the cutting room. We're on the cutting room floor for that, I think. But anyway, Forever Sophist, thank you. You great. Oh my God. Great points and great conversation. I hope you call in again. I really liked what you had to say.